What if I told you that right now, on wrists all over the world, there are Rolex submariners with real 904L steel, a movement that sweeps at the correct 28,800 beats per hour, a lume that glows the correct shade of green, and a price tag of $800. And even the guy behind the counter at your local jewelry store couldn't tell you it's fake without opening the case back. This isn't the cheap flea market garbage from 10 years ago, with the ticking second hand and the misspelled crown logo. This is a new category entirely. Collectors call them super fakes. Some of them are so good they're now selling for more than a real Rolex used to cost 5 years ago. And the market for them isn't shrinking, it's exploding. Is the guy sitting next to you on the subway wearing a $9,000 GMT Master or an $800 replica that just cost someone their life savings to buy? You genuinely cannot tell anymore, and that should terrify you. Let me hit you with the numbers, because the scale of this is not what most people think it is. Industry estimates from customs and trade enforcement groups put the global counterfeit watch trade at somewhere north of $1 billion a year, and that figure is almost certainly outdated the moment it's published, because seizures keep climbing. In 2023 alone, customs authorities across the EU and US reported seizing hundreds of thousands of counterfeit watches. And analysts believe that's a small fraction of what's actually moving, because the good stuff doesn't travel in bulk shipping containers anymore. It moves one unit at a time, hand-carried or mailed in unmarked packages with false declarations. Here's the part that should really wake you up. 10 years ago, a good fake Rolex cost maybe $200 to $400, and it was obviously fake within 30 seconds of handling it. Today, the top tier of clone manufacturers, factories specializing almost exclusively in Rolex replication, produce watches with Swiss-grade components, sapphire crystals with correct Cyclops magnification, laser-etched ceramic bezels, and clone movements based on reverse-engineered calibers that keep time within a few seconds a day. These watches are selling on private, invite-only channels for anywhere from $600 to, in some documented cases, over $3,000, and buyers are lining up. Demand has grown so fast that some of these operations reportedly have wait times of their own now. Read that again. People are waiting in line to buy a fake watch the same way they wait in line for the real one. And the resale of these things is a whole shadow economy. Second-hand super fakes, watches that have been worn in to remove that new fake shine, are trading on private forums and encrypted chat groups for prices that rival entry-level, genuine Tudors. We are watching counterfeit goods develop their own vintage market. That is how fast and how far this has come. So here's the question everybody should be asking. How did we get here? How did a fake watch go from an obvious tourist trap joke to something that can fool an authorized dealer at a glance? I dug into this, and it comes down to 3 factors, and once you understand them, the whole explosion makes sense. Factor 1. Reverse engineering got industrial. In the past, counterfeiters were copying the outside of the watch, the case shape, the dial layout, and stuffing it with a generic Chinese quartz or automatic movement that had nothing to do with how a real Rolex worked. Today, the top-tier factories buy genuine Rolex watches, sometimes dozens of them, strip them down to the last screw, and 3D scan every single component with the same tolerance equipment that legitimate manufacturers use for precision parts. They are not eyeballing a submariner from a photo anymore. They are measuring it down to the micron. That is an industrial process, not a craft process. An industrial process is scale. Factor 2. The supply chain for clone-grade components matured. There is now an entire aftermarket parts industry, separate from the counterfeiters themselves, that manufactures movements specifically designed to mimic Rolex calibers, sold openly as homage parts. These makers sell components in bulk to whoever is buying, and the super fake factories are simply the largest buyers. Run a factory line instead of hand-assembling one watch at a time, and quality control gets tighter while unit cost drops. That's basic manufacturing economics, and it's exactly why these fakes have gotten this good this fast. Factor 3, and this is the one nobody wants to say out loud. Authentication has become an arms race, and counterfeiters treat every anti-counterfeiting measure as a design brief to defeat. When a maker adds a micro-etched security feature, the counterfeiters buy a genuine watch, study it under magnification, and replicate it within months. Every anti-fraud feature now has a shelf life measured in a single product cycle, not years. That is an active, ongoing war, and right now at the top end, it's closer than anyone in the legitimate watch industry wants to admit publicly. Here's something most outsiders don't even know exists. The counterfeit trade has developed its own internal grading language, almost like a parallel industry standard. And understanding it explains a lot about why prices for fakes now span such a huge range. At the bottom sits what insiders call A-grade. Cheap, mass-produced, obviously wrong, sold on street corners for under $100. Nobody mistakes these for real. At the very top is the category driving this entire boom, what the community calls super clone or super fake tier. These use the reverse-engineered, Swiss-grade clone movements we already talked about, correct case dimensions down to fractions of a millimeter, and finishing quality that requires specialized equipment to distinguish from genuine factory output. This tier didn't really exist in any meaningful volume until relatively recently, and it is almost entirely responsible for the explosion in both price and demand, because for the first time, a fake could actually pass for the real thing in situations that matter. Insurance appraisals at a glance, casual inspection by a jeweler, even some less rigorous authentication services. That tiering matters because it tells you the market isn't shrinking or getting more honest. It's specializing. The bottom tier is basically dying off because nobody wants an obvious fake anymore. All the growth, all the investment, all the demand is concentrated at the top, where the line between real and fake has gotten dangerously thin. Quality alone doesn't explain a boom. Quality plus a reason to buy explains a boom. So let's talk about why demand for these things has gone vertical the last few years, because it's not really about wanting to deceive people, it's about status economics. Genuine Rolex sports models, Submariners, GMT Masters, Daytonas have been effectively unobtainable at retail price for the better part of a decade. Authorized dealers get a trickle of allocation and hand it to their best existing customers. If you walk into a boutique with no purchase history, you are not walking out with a steel Submariner. You are walking out with a wait list and a smile. That artificial scarcity pushed genuine prices on the gray and secondary market up 30, 40, sometimes over 100% above retail during the peak years. A watch that retails for $9,100 was trading hands for $16,000, $18,000, sometimes more. That gap, the space between what the watch is supposed to cost and what you actually have to pay to get one today, is exactly the space the super fake market moved into. If a real Submariner costs you $16,000 on the resale market, and a super fake that is visually and mechanically close enough to fool 95% of the population costs $900, you have created an enormous financial incentive for people who want the status symbol more than they want the mechanical authenticity. Some buyers know exactly what they're getting and don't care. They want the look for a party, a photo, a business meeting, and they've made peace with that. Others are being told they're buying genuine gray market stock at a discount, and they have no idea they bought a clone until they try to sell it or service it. And there's a second economic driver that almost nobody talks about. The internet turned trust into content. A super fake buyer used to have to know somebody who knew somebody. Now there are entire private communities, dedicated forums, and encrypted group chats built around reviewing, rating, and recommending specific clone factories the same way people review restaurants. Reputation systems, escrow services, trusted seller badges. The super fake trade built its own miniature version of legitimate e-commerce trust infrastructure. When you lower the friction and the fear of getting scammed, you dramatically increase the volume of buyers willing to participate. That infrastructure is a huge part of why this went from a niche hobby to a booming underground industry in just a few years. This isn't abstract. Real people are getting hurt on both ends of this, and the stories are genuinely rough. Picture somebody saving for 2 years, not a watch collector, just a regular working person who wants one nice thing to mark a milestone. A promotion, a wedding anniversary, paying off debt. They've heard that authorized dealers won't sell to walk-ins, so they go looking on a resale site or a private seller they found through a mutual friend. They find a date just listed at $2,000 under what everyone tells them is market price. The seller has photos, a box, papers that look right. They wire the money. Weeks later, wanting insurance coverage, they take it to get appraised, and the appraiser quietly tells them the movement isn't genuine. It's a high-grade clone caliber built to imitate the real thing down to the rotor engraving. The watch they thought was a $9,000 asset is worth, on a good day, a few $100s as a curiosity. That money's gone. There is no refund process. There is no chargeback. The seller vanished the moment the wire cleared. On scam reporting forums, this story repeats constantly with the names and amounts changed. One widely shared account described a buyer paying nearly $11,000 for a supposed private sale Daytona, only to learn during a routine service that the case back had been refinished to hide machining marks that didn't match genuine production. The giveaway wasn't the outside. It was the inside, where corners get cut even on the best clones, because nobody expects a customer to ever open the case. And it isn't just financial. There's a real safety dimension too. Because super fakes have gotten this convincing, they've become genuinely useful to organize theft rings. Some documented cases involve criminals using high-quality replicas as bait, flashing what looks like a genuine six-figure watch to lure a buyer to a private meeting for an in-person deal, then robbing them at the point of sale instead of selling anything at all. The realism of the fake isn't just defrauding buyers of money anymore. In the worst cases, it's putting people in physical danger. If you're finding this useful, this is exactly the kind of thing that gets buried by algorithms that would rather show you unboxing videos. So do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps more people see this before they get burned. Here's the part collectors need to sit with. This boom doesn't just hurt the people buying fakes by accident. It's starting to put pressure on the legitimate market too. Authenticators, insurers, and even some authorized service centers report a measurable rise in the time and cost it takes to verify a genuine watch, because standard visual checks aren't enough anymore. Some insurers now demand more documentation, and in certain cases movement inspection, before issuing full replacement coverage on high-value pieces. That extra friction and cost gets passed down to every honest owner, fake watch or not. There's also a slower, quieter erosion happening to trust in the private resale market as a whole. Every viral story about someone getting scammed with a super fake makes the next honest private seller's life a little harder, because buyers are understandably more suspicious, more demanding of proof, more likely to walk away from a legitimate deal out of fear. The super fake boom is a tax on trust that every honest person in this hobby ends up paying, whether they've ever gone near a counterfeit or not. You are not powerless here. If you're buying, selling, or already own a Rolex, here is a practical action plan to keep yourself out of this mess. Step 1. Buy from sources you can verify independently. That means authorized dealers, well-established resale platforms that offer their own in-house authentication with a money-back guarantee, or private sellers you can meet through a trusted intermediary with a real reputation to protect. If a deal only exists through a single anonymous online contact with no verifiable history, treat that as a hard stop, not a bargain. Step 2. Insist on an in-person, in-hand inspection before any money changes hands, ideally by a watchmaker or certified authenticator who is not the seller and has no financial stake in the sale. A 5-minute inspection fee, usually well under $150, is nothing compared to losing thousands on a clone. Step 3. Learn the weight and the sound. This sounds basic, but it remains one of the hardest things to fake perfectly. Genuine Rolex sports models have a specific heft from solid 904L steel and oyster bracelet construction, and the sweep of the second hand has a particular smoothness at low light. It isn't foolproof anymore on the top-tier fakes, but combined with everything else, it's still a useful gut check. Step 4. Check the paperwork chain, not just the paper. A warranty card and box can be faked or genuinely stolen from an unrelated watch. What matters is whether the seller can walk you through a believable, consistent ownership story, where they bought it, when, any service history, and whether that story holds up to basic questions without contradiction. Step 5. If you're buying online, use a platform or payment method that gives you real recourse. Wire transfers and informal payment apps typically offer zero buyer protection once the money is sent. A platform with escrow and documented authentication costs a small premium and buys you real protection. Step 6. If you already suspect your own watch might not be genuine, get it authenticated by an independent, accredited watchmaker, not the person who sold it to you. If it turns out to be counterfeit, document everything and report it, both to the platform you used and, if real money was lost through fraud, to your local consumer protection or law enforcement authority. You may not get your money back, but you can help stop the next person from losing theirs. Follow these steps and you dramatically cut your risk of becoming the next story on a scam forum. Here's the bottom line. The super fake boom isn't a joke anymore, and it isn't a victimless hobby on the fringes of the watch world. It's a fast-growing, well-organized industry built directly out of the gap between what people are told a Rolex should cost and what they can actually get one for. Until that gap closes, this problem is only going to get more convincing, more expensive, and more dangerous for everyone caught in the middle of it. Has anyone ever tried to sell you a fake? Or did you find out after the fact that your watch wasn't what you thought? Tell your story in the comments. It might save someone else's money. If this video opened your eyes, smash that like button, subscribe for more of this, and go watch the video on my channel about why Rolex is quietly starving independent watchmakers of parts, because these two stories are more connected than you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.